Hello and welcome to the backup webinar for TwinCAT Analytics. My name is Pascal Dresslaus and I'd like to present you the complete analytics workflow. And meanwhile, we are in the last point where we can make a 24-hour, 7 days per week application to observe our machines in the field. And if you have questions to the complete workflow, feel free, use the question window in the GoToWebinar software during the webinar, and I try to answer all your questions in the end of this session. Meanwhile, we are in the situation that we are in the workflow in the end, and so today we will see how we can reach this dashboard here on our mobile phone or on our desktop PC or tablet. The workflow, as you meanwhile know, is separated from me in 4 different steps. So we were talking before about the data acquisition here with the analytics logger and other tools, and the communication via the IoT communication protocol MQTT to the message broker. With the same protocol, we take the data and are able to store the data in a storage by the TwinCAT Analytics storage provider. And then we can take live data from the machines or historical data from the storage provider in the analytics service tool to make our first analysis in a configurator tool, which is integrated in Microsoft Visual Studio, where we have a very nice interaction between configurator and our TwinCAT scope view to find easily significant values in our data stream and to see changes in the states of the variables by dynamic styles and all this stuff, what we can have here in the service tool. And now the next step is this corner here, where we have the analytics workbench, what I like to describe first, and later on the analytics runtime, which is necessary for this continuous observation of the machines in the field. So first topic is again viewing and analyzing data. Service tool was in the session before. Now we talk about the TwinCAT Analytics Workbench. And of course, also the Workbench is integrated in the Microsoft Visual Studio, and the tooling is exactly the same as in the service tool. You have also all the functionalities of the service tool in the Workbench. So there's no difference. Only some additional functionalities are available in the Workbench, and this is the automatic PLC code generation and dashboard generation based on the given configuration of the configurator. So everything what you have configured can be converted into PLC code, readable PLC code, and a dashboard, and this you can download to the runtime, what present then finally the analyzing data. So not only from a technical point of view, also from a license point of view, the Workbench is integrated the analytics configurator, the analytics algorithm, the analytics PLC library for sure is include the analytics storage provider recorder, the ScopeView Professional and the ScopeView Server, the IoT connectivity, the HMI engineering is in the package, and as a functionality, and this is the most important point, is the automatic PLC code and dashboard generation for this continuous observation. What is necessary for that? Necessary is, of course, a PLC library for all the algorithms. Some of you will remember in the previous session where I present the different algorithms, what we have, and that we have a toolbox in the configurator tool. And of course, if we like to make a PLC code generation, we need for each algorithm in the toolbox, we need a function block in the PLC. And this is done by the TC Analytics compiled library. And here we have again this list of functions and several more. So maybe the basic things again, we have easy algorithms with counting, threshold monitoring, timing analysis for my machine. We have lifetime analysis, live count analysis. We have logic operators, very useful for historical data to find out significant values. RMS calculations, we have correlation, Industrie algorithm, that is unsupervised clustering algorithm. So this goes a little bit more in the direction of machine learning, for example. This will come more and more, and we will add this more and more into our analytics software. State analysis to check your machine application code, how long you are in which state of your state machine. This you can analyze with this functionality. And we provide also a lot of algorithms to make energy calculations. And furthermore, we will add functionalities from other libraries. So not only the TC Analytics library will be in use in the analytics configurator. In the future, we will have also the power monitoring library, the filter library, for example, and also our condition monitoring library is a topic to integrate into the TwinCAT Analytics Workflow and into the configurator tool. The nice thing from a developer point of view, and but also from a user point of view, because this has to do a lot with the trust in TwinCAT Analytics and in the results of TwinCAT Analytics, is this architecture here. Doesn't matter if the TwinCAT Analytics user is using the PLC library or the TwinCAT Analytics configurator. The algorithms are based on the same algorithm, which is based in or programmed in C++. And this is very important. If you provide as a user, doesn't matter on which interface, the same data, so same variable, same data type, same time span, then you will get always the same result. And this is very important from the architecture point of view, to trust these algorithms in your analysis. As you know, to go back one step to show you again this picture here, you know, meanwhile, this is my favorite architecture picture. It goes through the complete session of the analytics webinars here. And if you see that here, I can say that is what we think how the workflow can work. But of course, finally, you are free to use all the different products in your own architecture. And so it is possible to have the complete picture also, if necessary, on just one controller. So you can see, you can change also the use cases and the ideas behind, right? You can have the half of the picture in one edge device, for example. So it gives a lot of different possibilities. This is just one example. And you see the same also by the PLC library. You can use, of course, this library not only in the analytics runtime later on. You can use also this as a standalone PLC library, like all the other libraries we are providing, like the OPC-UA library or the database server library or whatever, on your target system. So if you like just the algorithms, yeah, you can use this library on your target. But of course, to give you an idea about the complete workflow, and for the complete workflow, not only the PLC code generation is important, also the dashboard generation is important. And for the dashboard generation, we need some standard HMI framework controls for our algorithm. And so we provide for each algorithm such a standard control, and these controls are providing different information, so and providing also animations. So here we have animations for this min and min-max average calculations, so that the values are going between this minimum and maximum. So with the average and current value, for example, here the lights are switching by the bandwidth classificator. We have gauges, we have pie charts, we have here also animations for the shape monitors. So if we have a rectangular shape, we have an animation if it is in or outside the shape. So you see a lot of things are possible with these controls, and the inside the controls, the text inside the control here, it is in English, last event, for example, or here value. This is also available in several languages. So we have different languages and translations here for ready to use for this control. So it is available in Dutch. It is available in German, for of course. It is also in Chinese available. It is available in Italian language, in Finn language, and Swedish. So it gives different languages what we are supporting, Brazil as well. And yeah, depending on your request, we will also increase the range of the languages here. Then we are using this tile design to make or to give you the possibility to raise a complete responsive HMI dashboard. So it doesn't matter if you call it on a tablet or on your mobile phone. By this tile design, it is easily to realize this responsive functionality, and this is done automatically here with these controls. Of course, you can switch also the theme. It gives also a dark theme, for example, and some other themes. But this we will see later on if we go ahead with the hands-on, right? Important to know is that we are able to integrate your own HMI framework controls. So everything based on your TwinCAT 3 HMI. For sure, and then you can store your own HMI framework controls in a NuGet package, and then you are able to load this NuGet package, and then we show you the custom controls, like here, this profile control for window machines. And this profile control can be mapped then to different algorithms of TwinCAT Analytics. And if you make this thing one time, then you can choose for this algorithm what you have configured then in your application, and you can use this again and again, right? For each configuration and for each dashboard generation, this mapping is then available. And so you can use also in the complete analytics workflow, which creates automatically this these dashboards. Then you have always your own things available. So it is an individualization, right? So I think that is a good opportunity to have also own designs and own styles in this workflow. And then we come directly to some advantages I like to present you again of this code generation and HMI generation. The most important point is that it is easy and fast to use, right? Just some clicks in the configuration here, and then you are able to make your own dashboards and long-time monitoring applications. But it saves the full flexibility because you get two fully transparent projects, the PLC project and the HMI project. There's no black box code, not encapsulate in modules or something like this. So it is just structured by folders and POs, programming units in the PLC. And we have the HMI controls and the complete content available in the HMI project. So you can make your own changes. That means also here you can do a lot of individualization, but saving a lot of time in the engineering to reduce your engineering costs, because everything will generate for the big first step automatically. And so by this degrees of freedom, I would say, you are also able to integrate additional libraries. So the condition monitoring library, for example, can be used in the PLC code, the OPC library, IoT library, to communicate via MQTT again onto the machine, for example. Also, this scenario could be possible, not only publishing data from the machine, also you can subscribe to the message broker and send maybe analyzing results back to the machine application, right? Or if an end customer said, hey, it's great to have this on edge, this analytics, we have really deep analysis with a high data resolution, but I like to store the results of the analysis in my since 10 years existing Oracle database, for example. Then use the database server here in the PLC code and provide the data to the already existing database. You can reuse your own PLC code, and for sure it is possible to write own analysis modules to add this as a functionality. If something is missing in the analytics library, then you can add it by yourself to your analyzing project. We discussed already the design and the add of own HMI controls to have also an individualization which you can reuse again and again. But of course, you can also go into the HMI project and just change some colors or some positions of the controls, or add completely own things, new pages, or an own navigation control. This is really up to you, but you will save, in any case, you will save a lot of time by this automatic code generation. And yeah, this is then finally what we download to the TwinCAT Analytics runtime. So we generate the PLC code and the HMI project and download it to the runtime, and the runtime provide us then these functionalities. And so it is not only from the functionality, also from the license point of view, a complete package. So means everything what I show you later is ready to use with this TwinCAT Analytics runtime license, because this includes the TwinCAT PLC runtime, the IoT connectivity via MQTT, and also HTTPS REST. Then we have the Analytics PLC library inside, the Analytics Storage Provider library to communicate by the PLC here with the storage provider. Then we have the HMI server and the HMI client pack 3. Means in the HMI server is already include a client, made us able to communicate with 4 clients at the same time. So 4 clients can see this dashboard at the same time. So if a service technician and the operation manager will talk to each other and will take a look on their own tablets, then they can do it. And yeah, this is a good opportunity and provide us these kinds of dashboards here that are some generated dashboards here, of course, in the back-off style. You see we have here, you can switch the design. So this is a flat design, that is a curved design here. Then we have something like a 3D effect with a shadow. Then we have the dark mode. Here you see the language menu where you can switch the language. We have the possibility, of course, to change here the colors of the dashboard, set up your own logo, and you can reset, for example, this statistical algorithm. You can see your own HMI controls in the dashboard. So a lot of possibilities, and the best is that I show you that in live now in the hands-on. Back in the Visual Studio, we see the same configuration surface as with the Analytics Service tool. how I said, based on the same sources. Only the Workbench provide us now a little bit more functionality regarding this code and dashboard generation. And what is necessary for this, I will show you now in the Visual Studio here. And so we go ahead step by step. We go here to the different algorithms. So at first to the depot algorithm. You will remember this algorithm check if the stock is still full, that we can go ahead with our production. And for this, makes sense to have, yeah, like here, something like a traffic light. So we go in general here to the properties of each algorithm, and then we can see here the region of the HMI, and in the HMI there we can use an HMI control, and we provide different HMI controls for each algorithm. Usually we have always available a table and then some individual algorithm or individual HMI controls. And for this case, I use the traffic light because that is really traditional. And you can provide also an own display text. So I can change this, but here we save now a little bit time because I changed all the text here during the during the startup of this configuration for the session with the analytics service tool. So this is already done. I have here my names, and at first we take the title as a display text, but if you like to have it different to this, you can make your changes here. Then we have a functionality doc on desktop. With this functionality, the most important things can be available on each page of your HMI dashboard. So this could be good for such a traffic light to have to see the general state, for example, but also for all the other important things, especially if you have really multiple pages, then we can use here this option to dock this on the left-hand side or right-hand side of your dashboard. And then maybe interesting is also here the part of the PLC. You can have the option for multiple algorithms that you can persist your results. So especially if you restart the analyzes PLC, then automatically we persist the results of counters, for example, that if you reload it, that no counts were wrong, right? So if you have to maintain the analysis, then we can store this. This is a nice functionality, and also the stream results is important because you can use in an edge scenario the analytics runtime as your edge software, and then we can provide the results again to the message broker, for example, and this in different formats. I will enable this option here for the threshold classificator to show you later on what this really means and what has happened then, right? Okay, then we go ahead with the process timing. So this is this one here. And here we choose also an HMI control. So again, different things. So I use this one with the animation. Then we go ahead to the section timer here, the first one for tool 1. And here I will do the same things for all the tools, and therefore I can make a multi-select, and then I choose here the HMI control. We can choose a pie chart, but also a histogram. I like the histogram here for the section timer. Then for the usage as well, the same. There we choose an easy control where we just see a number. the number of counts here. And then the statistics here with min, max, average. Then we have also nice control with animation. This is this one here, what I present already by the PowerPoint presentation. So I use this. And yes, that it is for the first step. At the moment, nothing more is to do. We will generate for each network an own HMI page. And how this looks, we will see if we open here the deploy runtime wizard. We can go this, or we can see this here by the context menu at the analytics project, or on the analytics start page here by this entry deploy runtime. And then the dialog is open, and we have different options here for the solution. We can create a complete new solution. We can add or code into an existing solution. And most important from my point of view is that we allowed also a merge to an existing project. This is important because if you generate now a new solution and then you make individual changes in the PLC code, and then you go back to analytics and make changes here in your configuration, then you will not overwrite your own changes in the PLC code. Then you can make a merge, and automatically the TwinCAT project compare tool will be open and go with you through all the differences, and then you can accept these differences or not. But we will create now a new solution. Maybe we give another name to identify this a little bit better. Analytics solution webinar. And then we go ahead here in the next tab or by the next button. And here everything goes around the target system of the analytics runtime. And therefore, you have, like for each PLC download, you have a target system. And so you can release and route to any remote system and where a TwinCAT is installed. Here, in this case, I use just the local system. I create a boot project and I activate my PLC runtime, of course, directly. Everything should be done automatically. I can give some task cycle times here for an analytics task and also for a historical task, because this is split in two different tasks. Because if we switch to an historical view, then still the live data should be analyzed in the background. And so this is separated to two different tasks. And important also to know here for the usage in a virtual machine is that we can decide also to activate this for isolated cores. Here on my system, I have just shared cores. So I still use here the default settings. Then we come to the result streaming. How I said, very useful for an edge scenario. We can have a lot of things manually, because TwinCAT is a very open software, so that you can connect to other third-party tools if you modify the generated PLC code. But here we provide with the results also a ready-to-use functionality, really, without programming, because then it is also generated by the PLC code generation. And there you can decide the results to the MQTT message broker by an own topic. So webinar results, for example. And then you can send the data to an other message broker, or you can use the existing already configured message broker here from the target browser. I will do that for sure. And then you can decide if you will be still in the same binary format as before, or if you like to convert now to the JSON format. Because here the idea, the basic idea is to have a data reduction of the high resolution data from the machine, because you have already done some calculations and maybe you will just send the result of the, in this case, a threshold classificator. And you can select then the items Here we have the depot, so that is our threshold classifier. Of course, you can choose also the inputs, but for the JSON format, this is not recommended by us. Maybe this works for 2 or 3 channels, but then the overhead is too big and you lose too much time in the conversion to string always. And so I disable them. And maybe here is interesting the class and just the timestamps of the events. And I send this data in the JSON format now back to the existing message broker. And also an aspect is that you can do this in the cycle time of the data source, or you can do this in a specific cycle time. So maybe all second or all seconds, for example, it's up to you. Then you have here also a downsampling because maybe this state is not each cycle changing. And so you can reduce also here the amount of data. And we go ahead to the dashboard generation. Yes, we like to generate the dashboard as well. And we provide here title, Analytics Webinar. And then we create a start page. This would be nice to see a map with all the locations of the different machines. In our case, we have just one machine, but can see also several machines. Then we can see the current timestamp, if you like, and then we can design our dashboard. So we have here different styles. So if we use this dock option for one of the HMI controls here, then we can decide also for left dock or right dock. We have no dock here, so that this is why we use this option here without. Then we have different sorting algorithms, space saving. We can make control type, filled. So that are control size. That are different options we are providing here to sort the controls automatically in the dashboard. How I said, we provide the complete project. And so that means you can make really also individual changes. I will decide now here for the filled algorithm, and then we can set our default theme. So we have this shiny theme. I really like this. Then we have the dark theme or the light theme. How I said, I decide here for the shiny theme. And then we have the possibility to choose our own background image. We can make an own header color. I will stay by traditional red for backoff, of course, and we'll also use the option for the color gradient and use here the backoff logo in the header. Then I like by the style the flat version. So for me, a little bit more modern design. And then I can go ahead with the languages. So as default here, German and English is choose, but I can add also Chinese, Brazil, Swedish, and all the other stuff. And then I am able to publish this to an explicit HMI server. Then I have to give here the username, password, and all the settings. Here I do it just on my local system, as you remember here from the PLC target. And here the TwinCAT HMI engineering is installed, and this provides me an from the functionality reduced HMI server for testing. And this is what I use here. And so this setting is not necessary for me. Okay, now I have all the settings here. Last point is the Visual Studio. You can disable also that the Visual Studio will be still open after the code generation. So then it's completely headless. You see nothing from the program code, nothing from the HMI project. Of course, I like to show you that in this webinar, and therefore I keep the Visual Studio open. And then I can decide if I make an own Visual Studio instance here for the HMI, I will have both in one solution, and then I can decide for the Visual Studio I choose here the TwinCAT XAE shell. And then I'm ready. I get here a summary of all the data, and finally I can make my deploy now. And then the deploy wizard opens a log window where we see that we check the configuration. And if this is okay, we open a new Visual Studio instance. Then we will see that later on that we get here in the toolbar the information that a new Visual Studio instance is open. Then we create a new solution, and then we add the TwinCAT project. And this is what takes also the most time. Later on, also the activation of TwinCAT. Doesn't matter if you have a small configuration like us here with just 8 or 10 algorithm. This makes not the big difference if you see here. So that goes very fast. And we open also the new Visual Studio instance. And then you see how it built up here. Parallel, I open the deploy wizard. Again, then you see that all the programming units are add automatically. We are using for this functionality the TwinCAT automation interface technology. And now we generate the boot project and activate the configuration here on my local system. Now this is also done. And now we start creating the TwinCAT HMI project. So this is it, and now we fill the complete content of the HMI project with all the different networks and the different HMI framework controls from analytics. We start the mapping. And finally, we open for the HMI the web browser that we can see directly the HMI dashboard. And he said deploy runtime succeeded, so that it is. So we can go here to my web browser. At first, we see the start page here with the map. And there we have the option. We click here to see where the location of the given machine is. So the machine which is providing the data here for this dashboard. If you have several machines, you have several of these icons. You can set up also your own icons. And it is prepared already in the generated PLC code, the possibility to change the color of this pin here to show directly the state of the machine. This is already prepared, but is at the moment a manual move what you have to do in the generated PLC code. And then we go through all the other pages, for example, process. Here we see the depot. We have still some raw material left in the stock. So everything is green at the moment. We get here the information about the process timing. Then we see the tools and the different menus for the menu for the different tools. And we see here the section timer. We see how often was the tool in use. The min-max average here with the animation of the average value or the current values here between the minimum and the maximum. Then we can see that also here for the other tools like tool 2. This is more often in use. And you can You can switch now here the language, maybe to Brazil, to Portuguese language. Then the inner thing is change here. Then you have here valor, for example, and the same is then also for all the menus. So if you go to the settings menu, and then we have this also now in another language. But I think it is better if I switch to English now, to English, and see then all again in English. So here you can see that I can switch also during the runtime the theme of the dashboard. So everything done. So everything automatically. You don't have to program something for this. So all the functionality is there. With a background image or without a background image, but I like it. And if you take a look now, so then it looks in this way or like here. So everything switched that you have the optimal contrast. Then we can, I go back to the shiny mode. I like this a little bit more. You can change here the style of the control. Now you have this curved style, and back to flat. Here you have always a preview. For the preview, you can show the control title or not. You can also add a gradient. Then you have this small 3D effect here, especially in the numbers here with the shadow. That is really nice. And you can enable the reset buttons for the complete network, so for the complete page or for each single control. I do it here for the single control. And if I go back here to the tools, for example, then I see now here this shadow. And if I reset this, then it just go back to 0, because also this is completely programmed in the generated PLC code. All this reset functionality that is already done. And this we can see here also in this generated code. Just some words regarding the code. We have here in main analytics, and this called the FB analysis. And the FB analysis called finally the different networks. And you see here also in this folders, this network architecture. So here we have networks, so process and tools, and in process or in the tools, we have again tool 1, tool 2, and 3. And there we have then finally the basic algorithms, which we are calling here. So for example, process timing, there we have the call, and then you see also the conditions greater or equal to 1, for example, for the different inputs. So everything is covered. Which message broker is in use? Also, this is done automatically here in this TCOM module. So so-called stream helper is here in use. And this is the opposite part of the analytics logger. So you see here all the settings, what we have done. Also with certificates, this is possible. So if we have set all the certificates, everything is automatically generated here for the PLC. And also the reset functionality here, what I showed you in the dashboard is there, that you can reset each single function here solved as an action of the main analytics program module. And this is just a sample code, right? It is just a sample code. It is not the best code ever, but it solves first the task, right? And now it is completely transparent up to the algorithm, which is really from the analytics library. And you see that here. This is the FB ALU edge counter 1 channel. This is really from the analytics library. And so it is complete transparent application code, and you can modify this if you like. The mapping area to the HMI is here in the global variable list. There we have here HMI structs, which we have generated here. That are the different structs. And there are all the information which are mapped then to the content here of the HMI dashboard. Here you see, by the way, also the map entries and the status. The status is 0, and this is why the icon is gray in the map. But here you can make your individual changes to switch this state to another color. Okay, I think this should be the basement for your projects and your applications. If you are happy with this, you can directly run this. Otherwise, you can do your individualizations in all parts. So this is typical backoff. So do it in an easy way, but save your full flexibility, and if necessary, go to the last bit of the application. Let's go back to the presentation, the last slides. And on these slides, I will present you also an additional product, which is really new. Before we saw the analytics runtime, which includes really everything what I present up to now. But in some applications, it is better to have a reduced package. So we have also this analytics runtime base, this TF3551. And this product reduces the functionality just of the HMI package. So it is without HMI server and without HMI client pack. So it is much more cheaper, but has still the functionality of the PLC code generation. So you can generate from the Workbench the PLC code and run this in the PLC runtime, which is included in the IoT connectivity with MQTT and HTTPS REST is include the analytics library and the analytics storage provider library. And so it's perfect for a headless mode, or if an HMI solution exists already. So if you have this existing HMI, your own HMI, then you can connect to this analytics runtime again via ADS or via OPC UA, for example. And so it is possible to integrate this in your own dashboards. And of course, you have not to pay something what you are not using, and therefore it gives this analytics runtime base. We come back to this picture here. In the end of this webinar session, you know, this picture goes through the complete session. In each session, we saw this picture here, and it is for me the workflow with IoT. Everything communicates with MQTT to the message broker and is connected in just one machine, in a machine line, in one fabric, or over a real cloud system all over the world. So this is really up to you and depends on your application. The picture is also available here for the workflow without IoT. So you will remember the analytics logger is able to store data in an analytics file, the same file which is stored here by the storage provider. And these files you can send by email, FTP or whatever to the service technician. And these guys has engineering tools, Workbench or service tool, and then you can analyze here the data. So this is if you will capsulate like an island and have no connection to the world around, then you can still participate on the advantages of the analytics tools here, and you can provide your end customer still this kind of service, but on a little bit different way. Then I will talk some words here with you about the TwinCAT Analytics workflow in an edge scenario. here it is so that we can combine different software packages here on an edge device. And these software packages is the analytics runtime, the TwinCAT Analytics Storage Provider and the database, and the MQTT message broker. And so we can communicate from the analytics logger via MQTT the data to the message broker. Also, in the same way, the EK9160. And then we can use the data agent, or if you like, or you can do it natively, the communication by ADS or OPC-UA to other devices. So you can do it also in a programmable way. And then we have everything here in this device and can calculate the results with the analytics runtime with all the algorithm what we have configured here in the analytics workbench, where we have done then the code generation. And so we can provide also a dashboard if necessary, but also we can send data then because the PLC code is totally open, via MQTT to an AWS cloud, for example, or by HTTPS REST to another cloud system. Or as one example for OPC communication, we can provide data to an ERP system. Or we can use the database server to connect already existing databases like MongoDB, for example, as a NoSQL database, or a Microsoft SQL server, or to write data in a CSV file or XML file, or use one of the other connectivity products from Beckhoff for TwinCAT, because TwinCAT is a very open platform, and this is one of the reasons why we decide for this kind of way, that we integrate the analysis not in a new tooling and a new runtime. We have already a runtime, and this runtime is industrial proof and very open. And so we decide to go away where we make it really easy to use with this automatic code generation, but still flexible. And so you can use TwinCAT Analytics wonderful in an edge scenario for your machine park. Summary. So finally, we can say learn more about your own machines and processes, because often we work in groups and we providing modules, software modules, machine modules, and then we bring them all together finally in the application. And to see how the process is really working, therefore tools like TwinCAT Analytics are very, very useful to see then optimization potential, right? And also, it is a good tool to create new business models, to have a good relation to your end customers, not just sell one machine and then we talk again in 10 years. Have a close relation to your end customers, and this can based on data logging and data analysis. Services like predictive maintenance or condition monitoring services to optimize the unexpected deadlock times, for example, to give good customer support. And it is very flexible, the solution. So from the infrastructure, you can have it in a local system, in a cloud system, in a hybrid system, for one machine, for several machines. So it is really up to you. We have a very nice interaction between different TwinCAT products, as for example, the TwinCAT Scopio, what we saw already with the TwinCAT Analytics service tool, or here with the Workbench and the runtime together with the TwinCAT 3 HMI. Also, MATLAB Simulink will play a role in one of the next steps, where we allowed to generate own algorithm modules from MATLAB Simulink and put them into the toolbox of TwinCAT Analytics. And then also the complete workflow should be available for these modules. And it is really analytics for machine builders. Maybe as far as you know, it gives more or less each week a new analytics tool, an analysis tool, but we make it really for machine builders. We using existing tools which are well known by the machine builders. We use easy algorithms, of course, also some complex algorithms, but a lot of easy things which are using the language of machine builders and automation guys. And so it is possible to extend also finally these applications with own PLC code, own HMI code, and to make really individual things. So, and this everything in a known environment. And finally, with this, concept of automatic code and dashboard generation, you save a lot of costs and time really drastically. This is nice for each machine builder if he has to decide, should I really cover these topics now, data analysis, right? This should give you the possibility to decide really for this kind of technology, to provide these services to optimize your market position, right? And also for system integrators, for example, if someone really has a focus for energy systems, for example, energy management systems, and an end customer asks, hey, can you provide us a dashboard to see an overview about all our machine, how is the energy consumption, for example, if you are a system integrator and you focus on this topic a little bit, then you have with TwinCAT Analytics a possibility to generate easily new, for the end customer, individual dashboards, and this very fast, because you can store your analysis and you can reuse it for your energy monitoring. So it gives a lot of use cases for this TwinCAT Analytics, and where it can help to save costs, reduce development times, and to make really individual nice things. You see, we have a really passion for this product and for this TwinCAT Analytics workflow. So you are invited to go to our homepage, to our web page, and download the TwinCAT Analytics software tools, and you can try them in a trial mode, and you can do your own analysis in this trial mode. You can try the HMI dashboard generation, the PLC code generation, and the dashboard generation, and you get these projects already, and you can see how you can work with it. So you are really invited to try it and have fun with these software packages. Okay, now I will try to answer your questions. Feel free to ask further on questions. I will check now the chat here for the first questions.